Hi guys, Nisar here from DataMites. So today's question is that what exactly is public, private, and protected access specifiers in Python? So we have seen in the previous video about the inheritance of one class, that how does one child class inherits, you know, features and functionality of the parent class. So over here we'll see that there are certain public, private, and protected access specifier which are limited for a certain one. So what happens? Let's say I just create one class. I'll just zoom in a bit. I'll say, you know, class A, okay? And simply, I'll just construct. Oops, forgot. And I'll just use this pass keyword. And over here, I'll just create one function. I'll create just print. Okay? So, what happened that I just created one class called A, and it has, it doesn't take anything as a attribute to it, and it has one functionality called as just print. So if I just create an object of this, if I say this to be OB equals to A, and if I say OB dot just underscore print, what will happen? That the object that I have created for this class A, with the help of that object, I am going to call this function just print. Now, if I run this, I'll get my function. I'll get my print statement back. Hello, everyone. The reason is that, these kind of functionalities are the public functionalities of a class. What is the public functionality of a class? It means that these functionalities can be accessed inside the class itself, or it can be accessed outside the class as well. And it can be accessed anywhere, no matter what. You can create a new class, and you can just call this function, make an object of this earlier class A, and call this functionality, and that functionality will run inside one another class as well. Let me just create one another class. Say class B. Say F. Oops. Let's say my fun. Okay, I'll just create a function called as my functions. And what it takes is let's create an object of my previous. Let's say A equals to A, and then I'm using A dot just print. Okay, so I'm calling what I'm doing that inside my class P, inside one of the functions of class P, I'm creating the object of A itself, and using that A object, I'm calling this function which is there inside the A class as well. So if I run this now, what I'll do, I'll just create the object of this class B. I'll say this to be AP. I say B, and then if I say AP dot my func. So what I'm doing that I am calling the my func functionality of the class B using this AP object. And inside this my func functionality, what it's going to do, it's going to create the object from the class A, and that object small a basically is going to use to call the function of this A class just print. So if I just run this, you'll see I'm getting my hello everyone. The reason is that this functionality just print is a public functionality basically. So it can be called within the class, or it can be called outside the class, or even it can be called in some other class as well. But when we talk about protected access, the protected access is generally being specified by one underscore. Okay, it is being specified by just one underscore. The moment you put one underscore, the programmer tends to know that this one is the protected access and it must not be used away from the class. So if I simply run this, And if I try to run this function again, so what I'm doing that I'm creating the object of class B, and with the help of the object of class B, I'm calling this myfunc function, and inside the myfunc function, what is happening that it's again creating the object of class A, and the object of class A is going to use this function just print. If I run, I'll get the attribute error. So the thing is that the protected access is generally being made when the desired object is such that only the child class should use the functionality of, or the object of, or the attribute of your parent class. So it's just for the notation, we can't use it right now. The reason is that this function, my function, is calling this thing, and the a dot just print, if I just use this underscore, anyways, I'm going to use it. I mean, this is going to work. So it's not like that. It's just for the notation of the programmer that whenever it's a protected access, it means that it must only be been used within the class, or by the child class or the subclass. Now, if you talk about the private access as such, in the private access, what exactly happens that first thing, that the private access is signified by two underscore. Okay, so whenever you have two underscore, it simply means that use this functionality within the class itself. Use this functionality within the class itself. So over here, I have created the object of my A. Let me just run it. Oops. Over here, I have just created the object of class A. And with the help of that object, I'm calling this just print. But this time I have used double underscore. Now, because this time I have used a double underscore, if I run this, I'll get an error saying that A object has no attribute, just print. Because you cannot use this functionality outside this function. This could be only be used inside the function. Even if I use this double underscore, because you might have questioned this function name is actually double underscore just underscore print. So even if I use double underscore at the initial, I'll still get the error saying that A object has no attribute. So it's mandatory that a private functionality should only be used inside the class itself. What I mean to say, let me just go inside. Let me just delete this. Let me just go inside and let me create another function. Let's say my new function. Okay. And in this function, I am going to create the object of the class A itself. And then I'm going to use this object. Okay. And with the help of this object, I'm going to call this function called as just underscore print. Okay. Just print function I'm calling. That's it. Now, if I run this, and now over here, if I create the object of class A like this, okay, and then simply, if I just call this object dot my new func, this my new func is essentially going to create the object of this class A itself, and then it's going to call this function underscore just underscore print, because this has been written inside the class itself. Now, if I run this, you'll see, you'll get the value of print hello everyone. Okay. So this was the difference between public, private, and protected access specifiers. And thank you.